So, Better Days is is a high school drama. Well, kind of. It's kind of like Arrested Adolescence type of drama. So it takes place in China, which it's within like the setting of like a high school mostly. What it focuses on more than anything, though, is the fact that the final high school exams are coming up for a lot of high school seniors in determining what they're going to do with their futures. And and I love how it's framed here as being like such a huge part of the culture that everyone focuses on, like everyone is talking about. Like they go to this school, and right in the courtyard, giant banners that are saying like, let's do our best, crush those exams. And then you have like these like electronic billboards that are saying like so many days until the exams. You have teachers who keep talking about how not just like stuff that you got to study, but having like this warrior spirit, like they're going off to war. Like these exams are going to determine your entire worth of society, and that it's all on you to to make this work. Which is a lot of stress to put on teenagers. And to couple with that stress, this high school has a big problem with bullying. It has like the popular girl cliques who basically bully other girls and just makes their lives a nightmare. And this and there's this, and like the inciting incident of all this is that one girl who is bullied commits suicide by jumping off the balcony into the courtyard, killing herself. And it's like all the students are kind of like shocked by this. They all kind of keep their distance, though. All the teachers say, back to classes, focus on your studies. Don't let this hinder you. But the thing is, it kind of weighs on the mind of Chin Yan. And Chin Yan is this woman who's kind of like quiet. She keeps to herself mostly, but she kind of like takes a little bit of sympathy in this woman by coming up to her body and basically like covering it. Basically trying to show some sense that she understands what this girl might have gone through. And the thing is, she doesn't really have that much time to focus on stuff like that because she is so engrossed in her studies. Because it's really the most important thing. Like, her mother has debt collectors coming after her. Like, she's not at home at all. She's struggling to make money, and she's relying, basically, everything is on Chen's shoulders to make sure that she passes this exam, makes a lot of money, and can help out her mother. Everything is on her. That she's just, there's a lot of weight on her shoulders, and she can barely deal with it. And the fact of the matter is that, everything hinges on these exams, that even the investigation into the suicide seems brief, like really brief. Like, they interview like a few students and like those who might have been involved, but the investigation doesn't really produce any results of anyone to accuse anybody of anything. And eventually, even the interrogations get halted because they say, well, these kids got exams. We got to get them back to studying. We don't really have a lot of time for interrogation and stuff. It was probably just a suicide. So Chen immediately feels like, okay, I can't trust the authorities if I end up being targeted. And sure enough, after that girl commits suicide, Chen becomes basically the next target for the popular girls to harass in really vitriolic ways. Like, it starts off just small, just like taking pictures of her or making fun of her. And then it eventually escalates to them finding her in the street and kind of basically like bullying her, cutting her hair, and ripping off her clothes, essentially raping her. So basically Chen feels like she can trust no one until she meets Lu Bishan, who is basically like a 20-year-old who is basically like a street gangster. He works in illegal dealings. He tries to find a way to make money, and he's basically a bad boy. And the thing is, like, he realizes that he lives a violent life, that he can't really get close to anybody. So when Chen actually takes pity on him and tries to like stick up for him, she can't really do that, but she tries to basically get these guys off his back. He realized that, well, maybe I can trust Chen. Maybe there's something to her. And the thing is, Lu realizes that he can't really be that much involved with her life because he knows that he's bad news. He knows that he is down a dark path that he can't really come back from, and he doesn't want to pollute Chen in the process. Because he's already dealing with like tons and tons of scummy people. and because he cares so much for Chen that he wants to keep her at a distance. Now, of course, as film goes on, they develop a little bit more of like not quite like a low key, but almost kind of like a like somewhat somber romance that kind of comes about as it's staged as kind of like a forbidden romance too, because they live in a part of China that has like a lot of security cameras about. Like Liu realizes that he can't really be seen with her in public, otherwise the cops will find some association. So it basically keeps a distance from her at all times when they're not alone together. And eventually, what makes their relationship a little bit more strained is the fact that at one point, Chen has basically been pushed too far. Like, she's had her hair cut, she's had her clothes ripped off, she's been bullied relentlessly, that at one point she accidentally kills one of the popular girls. And so, Liu basically stages, basically helps her clean this mess up, and that when the body is found, he's going to take the fall for her. So he sets this up so that once the cops come to him, he will set it up so like, yeah, I did it, I killed this girl, throw the book at me. Chen had nothing to do with this. In fact, I don't even know Chen. Who is she? I've never met her before. And of course, the cops, and the thing is, like, the cops aren't really buying it because they believe there's foul play here. And so, like, Liu does his best to make, to basically say, I'm the bad guy, while Chen basically tries to say that she doesn't know Liu. And in the process, however, it does mean that, Liu is gonna, serve prison time, and and Chen realizes that this is like a huge sacrifice for him. And Liu goes the extra mile to ensure that, that it seems like he's a bad guy who might be targeting Chen. But the thing is, like, I like the way that, like, this film could have easily just cut off at the moment when Liu takes the fall and Chen goes, gets her grades back, and she has good grades and she goes off to college. And that she basically waits for him. But I like the fact that the film doesn't stop there. Like, it actually asks this question about accountability. And I like the fact that, it might be like a little bit of mixed messaging here, but I like the fact that the cops are a bit concerned that they know that Chen is trying to make Liu take the fall and that Liu's willing to do it, but also realize that, they want to try to force that, if you do this is going to weigh on your conscience. And I like how the cops also admit that, they don't understand why teenagers would do this, because basically they admit, like, well, we're not young people. We don't know why they would do this. And I also like kind of the kind of like despair that the young people feel towards, authorities when they have these accidents that can destroy their entire lives. Like the cops constantly ask Chen, why didn't you come to us when you were bullied? Why didn't you come to us when this happened? And Chen is basically like, I can't trust you people. You saw what happened when that bullied girl committed suicide. You barely did anything. Why would I trust any of you? So it kind of goes back and forth in like this questioning of authority and how much young people feel that they have that they can trust others, when like bullying is such a difficult thing to deal with, where even if you have the evidence, even if you feel like you've done nothing wrong, even if it was an accident, so much ranges on just your perceptions within the culture that there's this desperation where you have to cover everything up, where like you have to take the fall for someone because that's the only way you can feel that you can get ahead in life. And I gotta admit, I like the way that this film kind of draws out on this aspect, and it does take a very unconventional route in how it ends with this material. Like I said, it could have cut off at like the third act, but that fourth act just feels so crucial in addressing these issues in a very mature way, and also portrays, I like the way that it portrays young people. It's not just being passionate enough to let people take the fall, but also show accountability and realize that they have to do better on their own, more or less. Because I like the fact that Chen Yan is basically, she doesn't have her mother. She doesn't have anyone in her life except Liu to look up to. So I like the dynamic between Chen and Liu. They do have this sort of like almost kind of like understated romance to them that I really dug. I like the way it's edited too. Like, I love how we don't really learn about the accident until after the fact, once Liu has already committed to like getting rid of the body and stuff like that. And just like the overall atmosphere, like you can tell, like you can sense the pressures all around Chen, where everything hinges on this exam, and if you don't pass it, it feels like the end of your life. It like if you do pass it, it feels like everything is going to be coming up roses, but at the same time, Chen asks herself, "There's got to be more to life than this. There's got to be more to it than this. Like it can't just because like one of the things that Chen has kind of learned from studying for these exams is that as long as you focus on the exams, focus on your studies, and just let everything else in your life, basically all the bullying and harassment and torment, as long as you ignore all that and just pass your exams, everything will be fine." And there's a very dangerous thinking there. And I like the fact that it's mentioned early on and then is proven wrong by the end, realizing that, no, there is more to life than exams. Like, you can pass them, but there's still going to be a moral weight on your conscience and an accountability that you're going to feel that goes beyond just grades and jobs and stuff like that. So I really like the direction that this film took in addressing both like, bullying and like, the culture that forces a lot on teenagers and the weight that a lot of the unfortunate kids have to take on. So it's a very, very bittersweet film. I like the romance that develops here. It feels genuine. And I like how it basically lingers. Like this film is around like 2.5 hours and it spends its time to make you care about these characters and their plight. And also feel like the grueling nature of it. Like the interrogation scenes are perfectly edited, but also go on for a long time where you can kind of like feel the drain on both characters as they try to keep up this bit. So yeah, I really loved Better Days, and I think it's just a well-made film about and a film with teeth about youth culture that I really think is going to resonate for a lot of people.